Alright, so this one only give me like 15 minutes, so I gotta talk real quick. Um, Now you know they shot the Tupac, or they're shooting the Tupac bio story, and in it, they were looking for the character to stem, the growth from the animosity where Tupac come from, because Tupac goes into this dark place as an actor. We're gonna take it from there. As an actor, he stems from this dark place, and being prior to the rap game, he has these guys and he hangs out with, and they really go into a dark place. He makes his album. He flies to New York. He shoots Juice. Y'all know that. He does Above the Rim. And he records another album and does Above the Rim. During shooting, he meets a rap manager. The rap manager is the manager to an artist named Little Sean at the time, who had songs on the radio, a hip hop artist that had songs on the radio, and he was performing shows in the club. In a prior interview, the same manager says he did meet up with Tupac, and Tupac wasn't shit in the club. He didn't have a name in the game as far as hip hop game and all this other stuff. So there's like the meeting of Tupac is not a casual. They're on the streets. He's talking to him like a man. He don't have the clothes. He don't have everything. At the time, with the clubs and stuff, there was a dress attire for these clubs and an age limit, like 25 and up. So you had to dress a certain way, slack shoes, no hip hop clothes and fitteds and all that other shit. Sort of like how clubs are now. Y'all know. Alright. Tupac doing all this stuff prior does not give him enough prestige to impress this manager. Now, even though it's after the fact that this manager does the interview and he says it like this, we find it funny the same information on how he's saying it towards Tupac at that time matches the same way Tupac is talking about Christopher at that time in the last interview, how I posted up. Now we found out his animosity stemmed from an article that was written in the source about Christopher being the king of New York. But the other part of his animosity stemmed either from being in post-traumatic stress prior, then actors going into a dark place and never recovering. And this is what they were saying about the Juice WRLD. He never recovered, jumped in back into the rap stuff after filming and stuff like that and performing, and then did another movie, Above the Rim, go into another dark place, and then also never recovering, jump into the rap stuff. Meeting the manager having, his artist on. His artist was on, but it was like a upskill battle from the ground up. You have records out and stuff like that. You gotta stay on. Hip hop is still in the streets. It's in the clubs, it's in the studios, it's in the streets. That's it. That's the only meeting place that they have. There's no offices, no apartments, none of that shit, none of that fly shit. They were out in the streets. That means everything out in the streets came along with it. So, after recording, they hang out in a club called Nels. Tupac gets in the rape charge. The next day, from what went on that night after coming from there, he gets bailed out. He's locked up. He gets bailed out. He goes to record at Quad Studios. He comes out. He's shot. He runs back into the studio, into the elevator, into the studio, and then, later take it to the hospital and stuff like that. Christopher is in the studio with them with Sean Combs, and then leaving the studio like you see in the footage. Tupac is taken to the hospital and signs himself out after surgery, after hours, and then meets his court dates. He's locked up. Then he gets released, he gets bailed out. He does songs and interviews and stuff like that. His whole fuel was Biggie is not the king of New York and all this other stuff. When doing something like this, put that one over there. So when he does it, they're trying to figure out Christopher's not here, his mother and stuff like that, and his friends. Like I said, both of them would do things on their own. This is where you see the picture of Tupac and Biggie and them standing in the club and stuff like that. Sean was trying to put them on. But Christopher always did stuff on his own, like doing songs and stuff like that. He has collaborations and stuff, a lot of collaborations and stuff. But it's not about Christopher, it's about Tupac. So they do stuff, and a part of the survival in the hip hop game is going to the club. So when they do it, it's like you're on a self mission, you know what I'm saying? So when he does this move, probably to meet the manager for Little Sean, it was a self mission. And this man telling us how he interacted with Tupac is saying, wake the fuck up. He ain't had shit going for him. This is after 2 movies and albums. It wasn't enough. This is the same thing Tupac is saying about Christopher in these interviews, like the last interviews. They're trying to draw where this animosity came from. Well, we know the article is one. You see what I'm saying? Him not healing from these characters and this lifestyle is another one. Now, what went on from then until you hear about the rape case, there's nothing about Tupac in there. He gets locked up. He's still not talking about himself. He has to describe everything that goes on in the night. He gets out. He's shot. The community doesn't take well that Tupac is in a rape case. So you don't know what's going on. You see what I'm saying? There's so many reasons of chaos in it. At the same time, the atmosphere in New York, in hip-hop, like I'm saying, it's still in the streets, is cold-blooded murder. People were shot and killed. Outside of clubs, in clubs, robbed, everything. You don't know. Anything could have came towards them. You see what I'm saying? Because the rappers were not the predators, they were the prey. If you're coming out with the hat and chains and stuff like that, you're prey. And this was going on a lot in that same area. We're talking about a block radius of chaos that was going on. Now they're just trying to recover the direction where this guy's getting this from. I'm like, okay, and then just finding out information. Well, the magazine was one. Now, if he got information or tried to, everything that's coming out of his mouth is Christopher this, Christopher that. You don't hear anything that he does. You don't hear anything about the manager for Little Sean. And then they put a title to this guy's name, and then they put him into a song for Machiavelli. It's not enough information. Tupac was wrong for doing some shit like that. You see what I'm saying? If you meet somebody and they're telling you to wake the fuck up, then maybe it's you. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't do that. Not to disrespect his legacy and stuff like that, but shoulda, woulda, coulda, he's not gonna bring him back. But what people don't understand is sometimes you are warned in your face. You see what I'm saying? To chill the fuck out. And that's exactly what the fuck happened. But he probably couldn't register that, because after all of that stuff that he was doing, he never processed anything to do it. He just knew to keep going, to keep going. The same energy that after being shot put him into the elevator and go upstairs and create all that stuff, he was gone. He was insane. It's called fight or flight. In combat, it's called fight or flight. After you're shot, you have a fight or flight stage. He was in fight or flight. That means your mind is going and your body takes over. And your mind makes up and process everything in it. That's what happened to him. So his stemming was his body healing. Instead of not paying him no fucking mind, he was in entertainment and rap and all this other stuff. And everybody listened to what the fuck was going on or coming out of his mouth. And it wasn't that it wasn't going on in his life, it was going on. But now what's coming out of his mouth was being told to him prior, before all of that shit started. And that's where the problem lies.